All right, welcome back to the 611 podcast with your co-host, Jimmy Rollins, my boy, Ryan Howard. And we're here today with one of the great managers of the most storied franchise in MLB, the New York Yankees. Can't talk about those guys without, of course, mentioning the great Joe Torre. Joe, thank you for being here today.
You know, it's nice being with you guys when you're not wearing your uniform and got that grumpy look on your face. I think this is going to be fun.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
So.
But it's nice being here, though.
I have to say, it's an absolute pleasure having you here, the accolades that you were able to accomplish over your career. 9-time All-Star. 9-time All-Star. MVP in 1971.
What? You know, we all have that in common. I at least can say that.
Yes. So today is the 611 MVP podcast today.
You two more in common because I did it with a little speed. You know, I'm just throwing it out there.
What are you saying about me?
I think we all had a burst at some point.
My speed or what?
It's not that I'm ignoring it, Joe.
Oh.
I'm just saying it didn't really, factor into you winning the MVP. Like Ryan hitting triples would not have gotten him MVP. You hitting triples would not have gotten you MVP. I needed the triples.
Wait a minute. Do you have any idea how many triples I hit in my career?
How many triples?
Did you have more than Ryan?
This is fun. Somebody sent this to me. I didn't know it at the time.
Okay.
Guess what? Guess.
All right.
Just give me a guess.
Okay. I will say I'm going to go
18 years.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, 17. 18.
I was going to say 25.
That's a pretty reasonable guess. Right?
That's pretty reasonable.
I think I'm a little low.
Yeah, he threw me off right there.
Way through. Yeah,
I'm going to throw 18 years. I mean, I'm going to go higher. Because I myself had 2-3 triples in 1 week. It was like two. I had at least 2 triples in 1 week. And
it wasn't the triple, Joe. It was the face that he made when he went in the third.
Because I had to look over at Jimmy and Kenny Lofton and see the disbelief that I had hit 2 triples in the same week. So I'm giving good graces here. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to say at least 75.
75?
In 18? I mean, I'll go high.
If this microphone wasn't here, I'd go over and give you a hug. 59.
59. Okay. So we split the difference.
That's solid.
Split the difference.
I didn't know that either until some fan wrote and referenced it, comparing to somebody else.
But you know what? That's why I love the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because they remind us of how good we were at time.
And we're letting them know that we do read that stuff.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Yes, we do. We may not talk about it, but we definitely recognize when it's happening.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to love it. Now, Joe, I want to ask you, what was your rookie year? What was the first year? And which team?
Well, I started professionally in 1960.
Okay.
I signed with the Braves, and in 59, they sent me the instructional league. 1960, they sent me to, at that time, which no longer exists, Class C ball. Because you have AAA, AA, A. And at that time, each club had 2 B teams, 2 C teams, and a couple of D teams. And one of those D teams were the short season.
Okay.
When the guys got out of school.
Okay.
So I played. Yeah, I played in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, in 1960. It was the Braves C ball, which Hank Aaron had played there, and I led the league in hitting. Came up. Actually went down to Milwaukee because my brother was living in Milwaukee at the time. He was with the Brave organization. And when I got down there, I went over to the ballpark and they're informing me they're going to keep me, as they expand their roster in September, they're going to keep me on the team, to be the third catcher. So I was nervous as a cat, needless to say.
For sure.
But I didn't think I was going to get any playing time, so I just hang out with the guys, It would be pretty good until one Saturday afternoon, my manager, Chuck Dressen, said, get a bat and, hit. And it was the 9th inning. I pinched hit for Warren Spahn. And Harvey Haddix was the pitcher. Threw me the first, legs were shaking. And Harvey Haddix threw the first pitch, and I took it, and I said, I can hit that.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw me an identical fastball in the same place, and I hit a single up the middle. And thank God they pinch ran for me at first, because I'm not sure I could have gone beyond that.
Oh, man, I remember my first bat. It reminds me, because you actually were able to swing your first bat,
Right.
which is great. You saw a lot of my career, and you saw all of it. I wasn't there to take pitches at all. My very first at bat, I don't know if I shared this story before, and if I have, forgive me for repeating, the bat did not come off my shoulder. And it wasn't with the intent I was trying to take. I just could not pull the bat off my shoulder.
Who was your first at bat against?
The Florida Marlins, Chuck Smith.
Okay.
And he was throwing some beautiful fastballs. And the same thing, it's like, yeah, okay. It's a little crisper. You know, it's a hot day, Sunday. It's same like you got called up, did not expect to play.
Mm-hmm.
Just hang out. I was just enjoy, being here and getting this free check. That's what I
Right.
thought. And I walked in the clubhouse and my name's on the lineup, and it was just immediately just like, what is happening? What do you mean I'm starting? I just got here. Why am I? All these thoughts went through my head, and they continued. So my first at bat, fortunately, I walked. But the next at bat, I finally swung the bat. The one swing I took ended up being a triple.
No,
And
perfect.
so that same, I couldn't do it. So congrats for being able to swing your first at bat.
So you started your career off triples. So that was pretty much.
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean, in
par
all
for the
fairness,
course.
it was par for the
It
course.
was par for the
wasn't it?
course. It was.
But since we have the great Yankee manager, Joe Torre, I think we'd be remiss
Yes.
if we didn't get, we'll give you the table to tell as many as you want, but a Derek Jeter story.
Oh. Well, first off, recently I went to his 50th birthday party. Okay. And I didn't feel real good, and it was a surprise party.
Okay. That's why you think
that's
like,
what
I was wondering. Okay,
that's
it makes
what,
sense.
Yeah, that's
surprised everybody.
That's
Okay.
that's what really drew me in, to be
Right.
honest with you. And when he did show up at the party, I said I didn't know if I was going to come tonight, but I just wanted to see what surprise looked like on your face, because I haven't seen it in 12 years. But the Derek Jeter story, I had, I guess, two of them. We opened the season in Toronto, and this is when Giambi was on our club, and they played Giambi around,
Mm-hmm.
three guys on the right side of the infield at that time, and he was at first, and Giambi hit a ground ball, and he was going to take third because there was nobody there, but the catcher managed to get down to third base. And they threw over there. He slides in head first and dislocates his shoulder.
Ooh.
All right, for opening day of the season, I go out. Obviously, I didn't know it at the time I went out, but I knew he was hurt because he didn't get up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's laying there, and I look down at him, and he says, "I'll be in there tomorrow, Mr. T." I said, "Yeah, okay, no problem."
Mm-hmm.
That's the one story. And then the other one, we're in Baltimore, and man at second base, 2 out. And he's like 0 for 30. He's gone through this dry spell badly. And man at second, 2 out, and he tries to drop a bunt down the third baseline.
Oh, that went over well.
Oh, boy. Not only didn't it go over well, he was thrown out at first base. So he wasn't even safe. He come into the dugout. When he came into the dugout, I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He says, "I need a hit, Mr. T. I need a hit." And I couldn't help but laugh. But he did, it's the first little desperation I saw in his face.
So he was human, because, I mean, two things I picked up from the first story. Did he know how injured he was?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't get up. And when he didn't get up, there was reason to keep
was
laying
serious.
there. Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah,
serious.
definitely knew he had.
And
Okay,
was he
something
back
that
out
broke.
there the next day?
No, no, he was probably getting it corrected the next day, and he went on to DL at that time.
Okay.
But I mean, you don't think, when you think of Derek Jeter, you don't think about a slump. He
Mhm.
seemingly never was in a slump. He'd always find a way to get hits. And obviously, there's always a time to attempt a bunt, and there are plenty more times when you shouldn't be attempting a bunt. I've been there. So to hear that he's done the same thing, like, look, I'm just trying to get a hit to get something going. If it works out, it's still like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
But you understand, it's like, okay, it worked out, but you still have that conversation, but getting thrown out at first base.
Right.
Trust me, I've done it. And it's just, you just drop your head and you feel even worse. And it's always the best pitch that you bunt and get thrown out on. It's the fastball down the middle.
It's
one
too
that
late.
could have,
it's too late.
Always.
Once you committed, but he was like you two guys as far as, when the game was going on, and there are players, and we know, that would rather not be up in that key situation. He he just, craved to do that. And, if it didn't work, it didn't work. Just like, you go up there and do the best you can. But the one thing is that your heartbeat's the same.
Yeah.
And that's something you can't teach.
Well, speaking of heartbeat being the same, I want to kind of talk about like your transition from player to manager, right? So as a player, I'm sure there was some intensity that was taking place out there on the field. But how did you kind of temper that competitive nature from what you had between the lines as a player to that as a manager? Because when we would look over, when we're playing against you, you didn't show
at all
any real emotion.
Nope, just
balls getting hit in the third deck, just stone face.
Same face he has
same
now.
Face. Just same face. So
if you had taken an X-ray of me at the time, you would see a big difference. No, the one thing I think, and even when I was a player, if I struck out, I would show no emotion, then go back in the dugout and tear a nail off the wall or something like that. I don't know. I just didn't want to give the opposition or the opposing pitcher the satisfaction of, seeing that he ruined my day, basically. And as a manager, especially I started in New York as a manager, managed the Mets first, so that if anything bad happens on the field, they want to see the reaction.
Right.
And having understood that, I never wanted to show that kind of emotion. Because I didn't want the players to see later on TV or something if he made an error that, here I am, shaking my head or something like that. Because I played the game.
Right.
And I know, it's not always great, and you make errors, and that's all part of the game. The only time they may have seen me react if it's a mental error of some kind. And let me go back and give you another Jeter.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Let's get it going.
See, they're all coming out. Rookie year in '96. We're in Chicago playing the White Sox. He's at second base. And he's either the tying run or the go-ahead run. It's 2 out. And Cecil Fielder's the hitter. And, he had shown me enough up to this point that I really turned him like, you're on your own.
Right,
you're on the base. You're not on your own. And, okay. And
just catching it straight.
Just it.
Straight.
And so he's at second base. And I don't say don't try to steal third because he's not going to do that. Okay. All of a sudden he takes off at third base and he's out. Now, he's third out of the inning. He's staying out there. Somebody takes him his glove, and I'm pissed because, and now I'm blaming myself. I should have put the hold on, I gave him more credit than he deserved and all that stuff. So
all these thoughts that go through the manager's head.
Right.
I said to Zim, Don Zimmer, my bench coach, I said, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to say anything to him because, we got to try to win this game. And I'm not going to try to disturb him or get him off point here. So bottom of the inning was over with. And a lot of times when someone screws up, they go toward the end of the dugout or get some water or whatever. He came walking in and squeezed between Zimmer and me. He just sat down. What do you say? I hit him in the back of the head. I said, get out of here.
Right.
Because he knew.
Owned up.
He knew
Owned
he screwed up. But that was him.
He was ready to take
that was him. He never hid from anything.
Yeah.
That's when you got somebody different.
Yeah.
That's, as a rookie, you said that was his rookie year?
His rookie year.
Like, you don't see that very, very often. And that's where he was cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
Just greatness.
Yeah, I didn't like what he did, but I certainly liked the way he reacted to it.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, you've never been thrown out at third base trying to steal for the third out of an inning, have you?
Not that I can recall. Actually, wait.
No, don't even worry about
actually,
that.
No, not that I can recall.
I
did not.
I don't even want you to
actually,
make up anything.
I had a good story.
Is it the truth? Is it the truth?
It is the truth. It is the truth.
It's the 611. We need the truth, bro.
That's all we give. So I did not get thrown out. I was not the third out. But my story, it was interesting. Okay. It was the same year I was feeling good. You know, I had my 9 stolen bases in a season, feeling good. I'm on second.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Worth is on first, and somewhere Jason's going to be out there listening to the story and he's going to start cracking up. He's on first. J-Dub needs like one more base or something like that to get like 20 or 30 stolen bases. I forget which it was. He's on first. I'm on second. J-Dub's at first base. He's looking at me. He's like, bro, go. Go. I'm like, bro, like, what are you, like, we're having a conversation and the game is going on. He's like,
does
go.
He realize
go.
who he's speaking with at that moment?
I don't think he did.
Okay.
But I ultimately wind up going, get thrown out at third, go back. Charlie looks at me and he's like, the hell are you doing, son? And I was like, hey man, like J-Dub told me to go. I thought I had a shot. It was so yeah, it did. And then J-Dub's at second base, just dying laughing, just cracking up at me getting tossed at third.
So he got his 20.
He got it. He got it. Well, did it count if I got thrown? I got thrown out, so it didn't even count. But he's standing at second base laughing at me because I got thrown out,
and he didn't even get the stolen
right.
back.
I was like, hey man, I'm never going again for you, bro. Never going again for you. Can't do it.
My Lord.
Can't do it. But it was fun though. It was funny.
All right, Joe. You've had some of the greatest players to play the game. Definitely, in my opinion, the greatest closer in Mariano.
Mm-hmm.
But you and him didn't always see eye to eye on certain things. Maybe in his mind, it made more sense to be a position player, go track some balls down in the pastures. I don't know. I hear there's a story out there that exists.
Yeah, he wanted to play center field. I cringed when I watched him even go out there and, during batting practice, chasing fly balls down. Because I had, by the time I got to the Yankees, I had this memory. Well, actually, I didn't. It was after I left the Yankees, went to the Dodgers. But I told him, no chance. You're not going to go play center field. I'm not going to get in trouble, Skip. It's going to be fine. There's no question he was, he's a great athlete.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, no doubt.
But, when you got a boss upstairs and I see him stumble around in center field and when they asked me the question, I really couldn't come up with a good answer if that was the case.
Right.
And then when I went to the Dodgers, it brought back a memory of Mo asking me about playing position. It could have been shortstop or center field. He didn't care, but he wanted to play.
The man's busy.
That's it.
That's important.
That's it.
You should pick it up and tell him you're on the 611 and you can call him back.
That was Halem. See, if I knew I'd do that.
Of course.
Of course, it's Dan.
One of our bosses called him in our show.
Right.
All right, we're silent.
Anyhow,
we're silent.
Back to Mariano.
But I went to when I went to the Dodgers, I wound up losing Kershaw. For exactly situation. He went out and jumped the wall and catching a fly ball and dislocated and dislocated the right side, because he had the glove over there, trying to catch a ball during batting practice.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and pitchers.
When that happened, I thought of Mariano.
Right, and the reason why he didn't, because they really think some are athletic,
right?
But athletes, they're good at what they do. They have a special talent. They probably couldn't hit. They probably couldn't field that well, but they made one hell of a living on the mound. But Joe, we got your story.
Bob Gibson was another one.
Yes.
He took ground balls at third base all during batting practice.
Mm-hmm.
How'd those hands look?
Hands were good.
Ooh.
Hands were good. He thinks he could, anytime you want, he could go one-on-one on you. And he did a lot of that because he wanted to work. He didn't run much because he just had the bad knees.
Yeah.
But he was dripping by the time batting practice was over, playing third base.
All right. Do we have a clip of Mo's version of the story?
Oh man, my favorite Joe Torre. '96, I came in spring training, and I want to introduce myself, and I start speaking to the men in Spanish, and when he looked at me like, oh, I'm crazy, and I'm like, you don't speak Spanish, huh? The man says, man, no, man. I mean, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, oh, man. And the other one, I always told Joe, put me in center field, man. Put me in coach, Put me in coach, man. Put me in center field. Put me in the 8th inning, 2 outs inning. If they hit the ball to center field, I will catch it. And then put me in the game the 9th. And I will fulfill my dream. And that's it.
So Joe
never did, man.
Joe never put you in center field.
Never did.
So he was trying to be the Shohei before the Shohei.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was trying to make...
But he was already specialized at this point.
Right. He was.
He's Mariano Rivera at this point.
He was.
Yeah, but can I interrupt?
Go for it.
I'm not sure about the bat part of it. You give you Shohei. I think we
the defense. Okay, we'll take the
check
defensive
that box.
Very good point. We'll take the defensive side of it.
I'm not sure about Mo.
So he was one. He wanted to go make the play in center field, and then come back in
little league it,
and then shut it down,
and get the save,
get the save. So he wanted to rob somebody in center field
out there,
and then come back and get the bump and get the save on the bump.
But you got to admire that. You got to admire the intensity of him wanting to do it all. Like, yes, Joe, let me be Mariano.
And he was again like you guys. There was nothing he didn't feel he could do. That he couldn't do. I mean, and he was special, obviously. And he did you ever ask him how he came upon that cutter of his?
I didn't.
How did he come?
He was throwing batting practice to you, and you kept shooting him.
Not quite. He was in the bullpen one day, and all of a sudden it started doing that. He had just. Wasn't trying to do it. Started doing.
I noticed something too with his cutter as well. Is that, and maybe it was later on, either when I got up there, maybe earlier on in his career, he might have been more in the middle. But I noticed, like, when I look back, my few at bats that I had against him, he was on the third base side of the rubber, which created more angle for his cutter because with lefties, he creates that angle to where as soon as it's out of his hand, it looks like it's right down the middle of the plate. But it's always coming across the plate and it's bearing in because he broke my good bat in the All-Star game in 06. Yeah, the one I won the home run derby with in 06, he broke it. So thanks for that, Mariano. But it served its purpose. But I always noticed that early on was that, oh man, he's creating that angle. And I wonder, like, kind of more so in today's game, you start seeing more guys kind of standing on different sides of the rubber, trying to create more angles. How many guys really kind of did that back then? Because you see it a lot more today, I think, than you did back then.
Right. There's a science to it for sure.
And that broken bat stuff, that was your gamer.
That was a gamer.
At the All-Star game.
At the All-Star game.
Who brings their gamer to an All-Star game to begin with?
Look,
first of all,
they weren't making Scooby-Doo bats and all the kind of bats that they're making today.
But
like, you had to use what you had to use.
Marucci made you a whole bunch of. You could have asked for a special edition All-Star game. You could have left. See, that was a problem. You could have left that one for us and took the All-Star game to the All-Star. That's what I did when I went to the All-Star. I had an All-Star bat because I didn't want my baby dying at the All-Star game. Joe, thank you.
I'm gonna interject. In 2006, young James.
Yes.
How many years had you been in the league?
That was my 6th season.
Okay. In 2006, how many years was I in the league?
45 games.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you think I had the wherewithal?
You could have asked.
Of having that type of
I was there.
Bat carriage?
You could have asked. You could have asked.
I had a couple extra bats.
See, Joe, I feel like the manager now when you let Jeep on his own. That was my fault.
Okay, yeah.
I should have went to him and gave him the
You see my teacher. You see my teacher. I'm supposed to be taught these things. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a bat story. I had a bat when I was a player. I had this bat was like iron, man. It just, it had dents in it. It was
was it tarred up and nails? And
just to tar it up.
But how many grains? Because people don't. How many grains was on that bat?
It was wide, and it was I started using it. I had bat with no knob on it. And how I started using that is when I was catching one time, against the Pirates, and Clemente got a base hit, and I went to pick the bat up to throw it out of the way, and this feels pretty good, you know. And you know, I started using that bat, but this was iron, man. It was great. We're in San Francisco now, and I didn't use this bat because we're facing Gaylord Perry, and he got in my kitchen all the time because that thing would go, you know, he'd throw that thing that was accused of being a wet one this way. So I didn't use it. We wind up knocking him out of the game, and I went to get my bat. It was broken. Jose Cardinal. Jose Cardinal, for the same reason, didn't want to use his bat. So he picked up mine.
Oh, my goodness.
And if I could have caught him, I'd have killed him. I could not outrun him.
What was the spec on your bat? What size bat did you use?
It was 35 inches, 36 ounces.
Oh, wow.
Heavy bat.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, he got me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I was 35, 34.
I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those were big bats. Because
Yeah,
I know,
but, you know, the big bats and the thicker handle, it's a better balance.
But it was a better
not
balance.
like
It's still a
Yeah.
log, though.
Yeah.
It's still a log.
But you would swing it. You would swing my bat. So, but you know,
It took me about a month and a half to actually take him to the game because I was afraid. He would talk to me all the time. He called my bat the little sports car, and I need to upgrade to the SUV.
you got to take the family for a ride. Take them for a trip.
But I learned that using a bigger bat, the benefits of it, not necessarily for the flight. For me, yes, I'll get that, but it was those 1-2 hoppers that were getting past guys in the infield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was what I saw as the biggest benefit. And Ryan, I appreciate that.
Man,
And
my pleasure. My pleasure. It was fun watching you guys like hit with my bat, and then I got to see what it looked like. Where the ball would come off and it would hit a different trajectory.
I can guarantee you that the ball off my bat never, ever looked like the ball off your bat. I can guarantee that.
Okay, but that's probably true. But I did see some stuff I did see it where it hit, and then I could see your ball kind of take another gear. We got to be real here. We got to be 100% here. But that's what we would talk about, like with bigger bats, because, you know, guys in your area of ball all used bigger bats.
Bat.
Yeah.
And so it looked like, from my point of view, it's like you couldn't swing them hard.
Mm-hmm.
You just got them going and let the momentum of the bat do the majority of the work,
Right.
I would say.
Yeah, I had like Hank Aaron. I mean, he was my teammate for 8 years. You know, he had a real thin handle bat, and he had this kind of, you know, hitting zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I needed something a little larger,
Mm-hmm.
but it was always right there. All the noise was right here.
Right.
You know, he was something to watch.
And Joe looked like he was going to come out and get Mike Messina. Did he say, Joe, stay there?
No, stay there. Don't take me out.
Yeah, I thought that's what he said. Looking for one more out, and he's going to get it. He finishes Dean off with a strikeout here in the 9th inning, and Mike Messina has won his 7th game.
After seeing that clip, did you get the game ball for leaving him in the game? Like
what's going on there?
What's the thought process?
9th inning. You're the manager. You protect your player.
I don't know why I was going out, but evidently I was going out, so that I was going to take him out.
Right.
But when he yelled, I said, okay. You know, he never opened his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The man never said much. All of a sudden he's, you know, talking at me in the distance, you know, and okay. I do not remember why I was going out, but it had to be to take him out for some reason. But, you know, obviously I didn't do it.
Maybe the pinch
Give you an idea who run that team.
Right. Obviously, it wasn't you in that moment. But yes, it's and I'm glad that came up, because this is something that you've seen in all stages, from guys throwing 180 pitches, it didn't matter till your arm fell off, to basically you were given 7 innings and about 110 pitches, to now it's 80 pitches or 5 innings, whichever one comes first. Can we talk about the evolution of the game from where it was to what it is now? And obviously a lot of pitchers and things have happened. I understand the speed up rules, but just how analytics has come into that part of the game, which I think is the most important as pitchers.
Yeah, it bothers me. You know, analytics, you know, information's important.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it. But knowing how to apply them the stats and stuff is something that I think should be left to, someone who's in charge and who has some experience. I hate to have managers have all this experience and not be able to use it.
Yes.
And the thing that bothers me about the pitching changes is we're trying to change pitchers before they get in trouble.
Right.
And,
right.
To me, you don't know if you have a pitcher until you find out if he can get out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that's part of it out there. Mel Stottlemyre used to go to the mound. We have bases loaded, nobody out. He'd go out to the mound, and again, he'd just try to send a message to the pitcher. He says, "Just keep that guy at second base from scoring."
Mm-hmm.
Just
it's simple. Just keep it simple,
right? And just don't put the pressure on yourself that you can't, give up anything. And I think just watching a pitcher mature in fighting his way through tough times is where you make a pitcher for me, and that's where that's where trust is created.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a very different animal. I mean, because with us, it was you had to pry the ball out of the starting pitcher's hand.
Yes.
The year we had Roy, Oswald, Doc, Cole, Cliff Lee, like all those guys wanted to go from inning one to inning nine.
Jamie Moyer.
Even Jamie Moyer, all of them wanted to pitch a complete game. They did not want to come out of the game. And I think it's you see a lot of the younger pitchers today. And I'd also be very interested too, Joe, to get your thoughts on pitchers from back in the day and their longevity in comparison to pitchers today, right? With the amount of pitches that they used to throw back then and how they didn't really get injured, and to where we have so many different guys having Tommy John or different kind of arm issues. But finishing up the first point, where you have all these guys to where our guys wanted to finish the game, and these guys, they're not telling the manager, "No, I got it. Like, leave me in." Like, what's kind of your take on that with these guys saying basically like, "All right, man, hey, you want to take me out in 5 innings and I'm still feeling good. Like I've got a no-hitter in 5 innings. They haven't touched me and you're going to take me out. All right, cool. Go shower up. I'll see you guys on the bus."
Yeah. You like what you see, the pitcher is comfortable. And to me, pitch count, I mean, let's admit it, when I was manager in my early years, and then before that as a player, they had somebody on the bench keeping track of how many pitches.
Yep.
You call it charting, but they just kept a number of pitches. And it used to be the average game was like 130 pitches.
Right.
And everybody has the red light go on now when you get close to 100. It's like automatic. Well, this will be his last inning, and stuff like that.
Right.
Andy Pettit is a good example. I mean, he never wanted to come out of a game, and you could see you're watching somebody, he's comfortable, and pitch count is deceiving. A lot of it depends on, are you pitching with men on base every inning?
Stressful pitches.
Exactly.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there's more pressure with each pitch you throw. But if you're going through innings and you're not in trouble, well, then you're really not stressing yourself. And I think you can go a little bit further. But I just don't like the fact that to me, I used to pick up the newspaper when they had newspapers back in those days, and we're going to L.A. Oh damn! Here comes Koufax and Drysdale. You couldn't miss them. Probable pitchers for this day or that day. And of course, that's when they were pitching every fourth day. You had 3 days and pitch on the fourth day. You never thought about it. You knew the starting pitcher was someone you were interested in. And, managers would, against certain pitchers, wouldn't play certain guys because, Drysdale was very unfriendly to right-hand hitters because he not only, wheeled from here, but he'd throw here too, so, but it's changed a great deal. And I just don't like putting our game in a test tube, we've got just athletes now, and and I admire watching them. I mean, for years I admired watching Greg Maddux pitch.
Masterful.
Because it seemed every time you took a pitch, it was a strike. Every time you swung at it, it was in the dirt.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, he was a master.
Yes, he was.
It was just, it's a great part of the game that, you know, we see very, few pitchers go, into the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we'll ever see another Greg Maddux type
With
pitcher,
what they
with the
desire for
move
pitchers and spin rates and all that and velo?
I think the problem I have is, we're so caught up in the velocity that I think we're getting a lot more throwing than pitching because everybody's trying to light the scoreboard up. And, to me, and you guys are hitters. The velocity didn't bother you as much as the movement.
No.
Yep.
The movement, the late movement, get the ball off the fat of the bat. And, but now it just seems to be, wow, he threw that one 102,
Right.
and stuff. And
it's impressive.
It is.
There's no question it's impressive.
And you're going to see at least one of them.
But it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You throw 102 with a 4.5.
Yeah. I mean, I faced Bob Gibson, before I was traded to the Cardinals. And, I always prided myself that I could put the ball in play. So
that was a goal.
I'm going to face Gibson with the bases loaded, nobody out. Shit, I can hit a fly ball, whatever.
Right.
Swung and missed, swung and missed, swung and missed. 3 pitches, went back to the dugout. Come to find out later, he's throwing like 95, 94, 95. But when he needed that strikeout, he's throwing 98. But he saved that.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not saving it. We're throwing it right from the get-go. And we're trying to strike out hitters from the first pitch. But that was the artistry, I thought, of the pitchers back in the day.
Yeah, and that's one thing I get to talk to Pedro every Tuesday about. And he calls them baby tendons. And you talking about the injuries.
Yeah.
It's like these guys, they throw so hard. They're coming out of high school. They're coming out of college. And they haven't built up the innings. They haven't built up the strength, the know-how to throttle back. It's just full throttle. Let's get to the big leagues as fast as possible. And then they're halfway through their first or second year, and they're getting TJ surgery, and it's happening over and over and over again. So there is an artistry, as you talked about Maddux, and you talked about Gibson. I'm talking about Pedro. When they wanted 98, when they needed it, they would turn up. But other than that, it'd be they could sit between 93, 95, put a little movement here, change speeds just to keep you off balance. It wasn't only just a power game. It was a game of pitching and not throwing.
Yeah.
And Joe, you brought up athletes, which all of us position players are. Sorry, pitchers. I love you guys. You guys have a great job.
Oh, yeah.
But
you have a few fights with those guys on that one, right?
Oh, yeah. But there's a guy wearing the pinstripes right now that, I mean, he may be. Well, Mookie's up there too, because Mookie's an athlete. I haven't seen him do anything bad.
He's an athlete.
There's nothing he can't do. But Aaron Judge, he is a specimen. I mean, what is he, 6'7"?
I mean, I saw him at the
70 or so.
I saw him at the All-Star.
He moves like me. He's your size, Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, he's faster than I am because of stride. But, my turnover rate, my RPMs are better. But, he got that stride thing on me. But he is a specimen. What he does at the plate, what he does in the field. There was a guy, Dave Winfield, that he reminds me of. Maybe a better athlete. I'm not sure, Dave. No shots. You're my guy. This is just current day. I didn't really get to see you. I get to see Aaron.
Yeah.
But those guys are special. And he's doing it in New York with, obviously, which is a city that another guy who was a fantastic athlete, Mr. Clutch, Mr. November, Derek Jeter. You got to manage Derek. You get to see Aaron. I'm sure he's come up to you to ask questions about New York, being named the captain, that responsibility. Are there any similarities you see between them? And also, what is the difference that sets them apart that gives them their own style as the captain?
Well, I mean, both of them are leaders from example. You watch them. Yeah, Judge was a right fielder, moved to center field. That's not the easiest thing to do. Hank Aaron was a great right fielder. Center field, he had trouble. But Judge just took it on. I mean, he is a leader in that clubhouse. Again, I don't spend a lot of time in there. I go visit every once in a while. But, again, you lead, and as you guys know, because you guys have been in pennant races, year in and year out, it's all about what you do. That's what other young players learn from, is watching the guys who've been around go out there and play. Aaron Judge goes out there and just plays. And as a hitter, you mentioned Winfield, these guys hit the ball in the air, it doesn't come down. And Ryan,
he knows
the same way. You pull for ground ball base hits, that's fine. But you hit the ball in the air, it just stays in the air. But I watch, they have all kinds of camera angles now, and he's like this. Now I don't like to teach young kids to hit this. I want to see more of this. But
for him,
it keeps going.
Yeah.
But and the fact that he doesn't need to pull the ball. No. He can hit the ball in any part of the ballpark, and it's it's a short field.
So envious of that.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right.
Those days are over. So anyhow, sorry, brought back some bad memories of me trying to hit the ball to center field. Know thyself, Jimmy. Down the line.
Know thyself.
Now, are there any similarities between the way he carries himself, as you said, is by example? We didn't get to share a clubhouse with Jeter. We saw what he was on the field, but there's always the guy when the door closes and the team needs a meeting. Somebody needs to be gotten on. And like I say, you don't spend a lot of time in there. But from what you can tell, and obviously you've heard, what are the similarities between those two guys?
Well, the similarity is that they both need to win. They both need to win. I can only tell you from the Jeter side, he goes 3 for 4 and we lose the game. He's not a happy camper. He does, it doesn't really matter. And if he's hitless, if we win the game, it's a whole different personality. I mean, he's on the field to win, and he just has no patience with anybody who happens to, be the opposite in this clubhouse. As far as Judge, I'm assuming he's the same guy, because he just has that sort of temperament. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years just by seeing him in spring training, sitting and talking to him, and he enjoys talking. Like, he'll come in and talk to me, and and he asked me the one time, "Why don't you just come around more? I think the guys would appreciate it." So he's speaking for the guys, and to me, he and Jeter are a pretty good match when it comes to trusting somebody to be captain of your team.
That's a heavy weight, and the history of the captain, if you can, because I don't know. I wish we in Philly would put C's on guys' chest. I thought it was just cool to do. Like, yes, I'm the captain. Veritek, who was in your division, he was the captain. What he said went. The way Jeter went about his business, everyone followed. What does that C in New York? It's always different in New York. It's the Big Apple. What does that C mean? What is the weight of that, carrying that on your chest?
Well, the thing that Derek, he when George wanted to make him captain, we were stumbling around a little bit. He was resistant to it. There are guys who've been here longer than me, and but again, when the guys who have been there longer don't resent the fact that you're going to be named captain, it tells you something. But Derek didn't want the C. He wanted to be, he'll accept the captaincy, but he didn't want the C on his uniform. Yeah, and I think the part of the reason he was a little resistant to being the captain means he had to answer more questions. They always go to him,
right?
Now it's my responsibility. He didn't back off from it, but it wasn't his favorite thing. Because he, when the game was over, he just wanted to come down, his own way, and talking about a game, especially one that you lose, wasn't something that was his favorite thing to do.
Did not enjoy that at all.
No, that's definitely understandable. I will say, I saw Aaron Judge at the All-Star game in Texas, and it's not too many people that make me feel like how you feel standing next to me. And he did that, and his hands. And I got big hands, bro. I have big hands. His hands engulfed mine. No way. And I was just like, look, bro, like this is insane. But
can we get your hand piece for the camera?
Right here. Aaron's hand. We got this on. Where we at? Right here. Aaron's hand was like this. Right. And but in talking to him, man, he's got such a great head on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's very humble, but at the same time, you can see he's got some swag about himself. Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to ask you about is obviously, yes, we sit by Mr. Swaggy. Well, not today, Swagalicious over here.
But we'll get there.
Right. Mr. Swagalicious over here. But one thing I want to ask you too about Joe is to play this game, you have to have some swagger about yourself.
I like
to have some swagger about yourself.
I like to call it inner conceit.
I like that.
I mean, they don't, today we're promoting, every time somebody gets on base, they have to make some kind of gesture.
Yep.
But I thought you were paid to do that. I thought that was part of what you were supposed to do.
Right.
For sure.
But that's the progress. So I guess where we are.
Who were some of those guys in the 70s that you would say just they had that? Obviously, like Reggie Jackson had that swagger,
big
but
swag.
Like the guys that you
Reggie
were just
wanted everybody to know about it.
That's true.
But other guys outside
the coffee.
That's my guy.
Right.
That's my guy, Reggie. I mean, I broadcast for the Angels when he was playing there. We got to know each other, and then I broadcast. We broadcast together. My last year before I went to the Cardinals. Oh yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. Reggie, he was a kick, and I'm glad we did because we got to know each other, and I love him. He's like a brother to me.
Love it.
But he's a beauty. That's all I can say. And you know what I mean. Reggie. He wants people to notice him.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's any secret to that.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else like that you saw from the 70s that was like that? And in today's game, who do you think is that kind of? Look at me.
I think that,
there's a lot of swag in today's game. Yeah.
I'll tell you. I think there's too much swag going on. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I said. It's becoming a show where, as opposed to it being natural.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in the 70s, we had naturals. We had flow. We had mustaches, the whole nine. Yeah. So Joe, let us know who those guys viewed, and were you a swaggy fella?
No, I came.
No.
I was a fat kid coming up, man. But I got to know the team I played for before I played for them.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Frank played for the Milwaukee Braves when they were in the World Series in 57, 58. I'm a teenager. And I got to know Aaron and Matthews and Adcock and Warren Spahn and Lou Burdett. So now, all of a sudden, it's 1960, 61, and I'm their teammate, which is pretty cool.
That's crazy, right?
But I was like the little brother, like Burdett and Spahn. They used to take me to the movies during the day. We had a night game, and it was really cool because it was easier to fit in. Yeah. But you always had to feel that you had to obviously pay your due.
Mm-hmm.
You had to show them that you were worthy of being there. And, but they helped me along the way. Eddie Matthews was probably my idol. I loved it, and I got a chance to, play, bat behind Hank Aaron for 8 years, which was pretty cool. And just watch him, just watch him up there. When Hank Aaron first started, he had everything the right field, just about. It was remarkable. It was quick.
He learned
those quick wrist.
Yeah.
As you get to know pitchers, you take a few more liberties. Yeah.
Everything was the left field at first.
Yeah.
But, getting deep, he didn't, he wasn't afraid to have the pitcher get deep because he could handle it. I always got a kick out of the pitcher that got ahead of him, strike one, strike two.
I thought it was over.
And now they're going to do the usual stuff, throw one inside and then go back away. but they never got past the inside because he hit the ball out of the ballpark. he hit the ball out of the ballpark. There was one guy he had trouble hitting, and that was Curt Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Curt Simmons used to throw this ephus ball, if you want to call it. He just threw it up in the air, and and it was one of these. Hank would just swing and miss at that sucker and just laugh when he swing and miss because he just couldn't even foul tip it.
Right.
So one night, and this is when Simmons was pitching for the Cardinals. We played in their original ballpark and Busch Stadium. And he made up his mind. He threw one of those. He ran up on it and hit the ball on the right field roof, Hank.
Wow.
Well, he settled that.
Wow.
Bob Uecker was the catcher, and he pointed to the umpire that he was out of the batter's box.
Oh.
And he called him out.
Oh, my goodness.
He called him out.
Smart play.
Smart, though.
He hit a home
Smart
run.
play.
And he called him out. And
So it should have been 7-16.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. I was never going to get close to those numbers.
No.
Yeah,
No shot.
It didn't have any effect on me at all.
When you stop, I was in Atlanta for the celebration, the Hank Aaron celebration, and they had the outfield filled with people holding different numbers from his home runs.
Oh, I know that was crazy.
And I was standing next to Acuna and Andrew Jones, and we were just looking. We were like, damn. Like 700 to fathom 700
from one man
home runs from one
Ooh.
person. Like it's insane what he was able to do. And man, amazing.
And I was at Willie Mays's. They had a little memorial for him out in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I was, first of all, I'm a kid, 10 years old, 11 years old. Willie got to the big leagues, and I was a Giants fan because the Giants were in New York at the time. And his hat would always come off when he ran the bases,
right?
Because he never needed a coach. He always had a head on a swivel. And when he got up at the plate, a little did I know that 10 years later I was going to be trying to get him out.
That's crazy,
you know. And so now, he wanted to hit. He wanted to get in the batter's box, and he didn't mind talking, just whatever. But he wanted to hit now.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to wait, So as a catcher, you wouldn't get a sign. You wouldn't put one down. And he'd say, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Didn't matter to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then you talk to him, and he'd answer you, and he's in the batter's box. It's not like before the at bat. He's in the batter's box
talking to
you, and
you're
talking to him. One time, and I've mentioned this before, I asked him a question as he was answering the question.
No, he didn't.
Stop.
Long ball. He had a home run.
No, he did not.
Before he left the plate, he says, "I'll finish the answer when I get back." True story. True story.
I love that.
But he loved playing the game. And you talk about swagger,
Swag. Oh,
he
had this.
It was just natural.
Started with him.
It was just natural. He didn't believe in the cutoff man.
Mm-hmm.
He airmailed every throw he threw.
I had a first baseman like that too.
Yeah.
What? Except mine was going to left. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
But he was exciting, and I thought Hank Aaron could probably do everything that Willie could do, except he didn't, have the flair that Willie had.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see this.
Let's check it out. Can we get a little of that for the camera?
Oh,
look at them chops.
We got some
Joe, you
mutton
got the
chops.
chops.
They're mutton chops.
We got
They're
some
not sideburns.
We got
They're
some
mutton
taco
chops.
meat coming out. Man,
Make sure we get that right.
Look at those
See,
chops.
Mutton chops.
But I want you to know one thing when you look at this.
I want to know, Joe.
The hair grew on my face and not on my head. So
You had that issue
I got
too?
a little light. Yeah, a little light.
Yeah.
But that was sort of in style, I guess. I laugh at it.
it was
now
looking
myself.
good. It was looking good.
Well,
I mean,
I was
the chops.
It looks like a
clean
Cardinal
shaven
player
there, too.
Look like a Cardinal
It
player.
looks like there's some flow
in
coming
there.
out the back
Yeah.
of that hat over there.
Looks like some 70s style. For
Yeah.
real. Like if you were in Hollywood in a convertible, what you would have, a Cadillac, something back now, maybe
Maybe a vet.
Or Corvette. I'll say a Corvette.
Yeah, a vet.
Something
Stingray.
like that.
Stingray.
Maybe a Mustang.
Yeah.
68.
No, you
I
got
like 65.
If you-
65 and a half. 65 and a half Stang down Hollywood. I for sure would have asked you for an autograph.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known who you were, but just that style that you show in there with the mutton chops.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw him
sure.
in. I'm gonna throw him in a orange 72 Stingray.
Orange
drop top. Yeah, just, Stingray convertible.
Did they make them orange in the 70s?
Yeah. It was the 70s.
Okay.
Everything was bright colored.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool. Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Sorry, Joe.
We're hitting them. We're hitting,
It wasn't dating you. It was just, I'm just.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I played at a time where, there's always something that you just embrace it. You feel the privilege of playing the game. I think the players today should be made to know the history of the game.
100%.
Oh man, couldn't agree with you more.
And just understand what happened before them, and the time it was.
Mm-hmm.
My first salary in the big leagues was $6,500. That was the minimum salary, $6,500.
Wow.
And I remember when we went on strike in 1972, and that picture with the mutton chops, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I won the MVP in 71, led the league in hitting, and they had me on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The top strip over the cover was baseball's troubled season.
Wow.
Because we had gone on strike for the first couple of weeks of the season, and it was it was a plus and a minus.
Mm-hmm.
We did what we thought we had to do as players, and
right.
Unfortunately, I had trouble recovering from getting booed at home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like getting booed, and I put a lot of pressure on myself.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys going through, because
absolutely.
It's always paid forward, and the money in today's game started. Had to start somewhere, and I know. Being familiar with the story of Kurt Flood, not wanting to leave St. Louis.
Right.
St. Louis for
St.
Philadelphia,
Louis
right?
went to Philly, yeah.
Exactly. And, and that started. So there were wars fought and battled for the kids today to make the money they're making. So, yes, they should know. It should be a part of it. Know the history. You didn't
100%.
create this game. You didn't create this money. It was fought for.
Right.
And you're not entitled to anything,
You're a
because there's going to
beneficiary.
be wars down the road.
Yeah. You're benefiting from it.
I always told my players, I'd say your career is this long.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to give it back.
Yes.
And the last thing I want any of you players to do is, when you're home after you've retired, say, I wish I'd have worked harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is really an honor to be here and have the ability to play and the privilege to play especially in the big leagues. And it always felt brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful piece of advice right there. Just puts it all in perspective, to be able to understand as a young player coming up, like, you're gonna have way more time outside of this game than you are
more time
with the uniform
whether you
on.
believe it or not, whether you know it now, way more
Right.
time.
Even,
you don't see that when you're in it.
Even if you're playing for 20, 24 years, if you live to be 100, for the most part, you're going to have, 60, 70 plus years off the field.
Right.
So understanding what you need to do in between those two white lines and carrying yourself, it's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very
I have
good.
a question, and it's something I hate answering, because you leave so many people out of the equation. And it's always, who is the Rushmore of A or B or C? I can't stand these questions, because you give your answer and then you have 1,000 critics. Well, how can you forget about this? Look, someone's always going to get left out. That's just what it is.
But the fun part is, it's your Mount Rushmore.
It's your Mount Rushmore.
So
you have to remind them of that.
Everybody else has their own. So this is Joe Torre's Mount
of
Rushmore.
Today's game. I think we want to go current.
Today's game.
Yeah, today's game. Like, if you choose players from today, and there's no wrong answer, Joe. There's no media after the game.
It's tough, because today they're still playing, so there's still more to do, right?
There is. Yeah. But that's the beauty of this quiz. That's the beauty of the challenge. That's a challenge. Exactly.
Well, Ohtani has to be up there. There's no question about it.
Ding,
I mean,
for sure. I would start there.
Yeah. I mean, how do you, he could take 2 spots.
He really could.
He could.
He really could. Unfortunately, he only gets one, Jeff.
No, I understand. And I think Bryce Harper, to me,
it's a great call.
And I love watching him when he's hitting the ball left center field because he's such a pure hitter as far as I'm concerned.
And he's the guy that has lived up to the hype since he was 19.
Well,
he is not
again,
disappointed.
he fought his way through it,
he did. And here he is, a superstar.
But he, I think I have a sense he loves the game.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
He loves to play the game. And let me see. Give me some help here.
So we got Shohei, Bryce.
Bryce.
Any arms? Any arms out there? I mean, Clayton, although he's at the end, but he's still active.
You're right.
Clayton
he's still
at
active.
the end. You can put. I had him as a baby. I had him as a 19-year-old, and I sent him to the minor leagues for I think 10 days or something. And he didn't like me very much, but that sucker, once he started adding the curveball and then the cutter, adding the slider, because he was fastball, curveball.
Right.
Yep, when I first had him,
which was Koufax, it was fastball, curveball, which, especially when you go overhand 12-6 like that, it's really tough to get a strike called.
Yes, it is.
Because it starts high and finishes.
Yep.
And that was Koufax. Koufax you could hear the ball. You go bzzz. I mean, his fingers were this long, and the breaking ball, same thing. Bzzz. It was remarkable. And then he started trying to throw a cutter and a splitter and all that. But once Kershaw
got that third pitch,
got the slider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now he needed something else to throw for a strike,
and
then he throws some change ups, but he was as good as anybody because I know what his insides were like. I know he has he gets a bum break when they start talking about postseason. He didn't win. They said that about Elway too. He couldn't win the Super Bowl. But you get a game to win, I'd hand him the ball anytime.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not other guys out there. I'm thinking Mookie's out there, so it's Kershaw on there.
Kershaw's
okay. So we got three. We got Shohei. We got Bryce. We got Kershaw. And this is where it gets dicey.
This is where it gets tough.
Who did you leave off? I like Mookie Betts.
I like
out
Mookie.
There.
There's Mookie.
I'm trying to think of other guys that are
Trout.
out there.
He's another
Mike
Trout.
Trout. It's so many choices. Yeah. It's tough.
Mookie has got so many things going for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has so much confidence, and yet he's got those leadership qualities. I mean, you play the outfield and he play second, play short, wherever you're trying to win a game, and that's what we need you. He's willing to do it. He gets high marks for me for being a manager's dream. For someone like that. But I'd have to include him, and I know we have other great talented kids out there that I marvel. I mean, I'm happy they took the shifts away, because all you saw before that was the ball coming to people. Now it shows your ability at shortstop and things like that you see in the athleticism.
I love the fact that it comes back. And I remember going to the Dodgers, and yes, the game was starting there, but I'm playing short, and I look over to my left, and I swear this is what it felt like. You're Howie Kendrick. I'm looking at him like, bro, like, why are you here? And it wasn't against him. It's like, why are you here? Like, I can catch that ball. I can get a lot of these balls, but it was the way the game was shifting around. So, but Joe, that's a hell of a Rushmore. Kershaw on the bump, and you got Mookie, Bryce, and Shohei 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4.
Because Shohei, because again, Shohei could be on the bump. So you got you got a player and a half right there.
There you go, man. That's hard to beat.
And to answer your other thing, or to add to your other thing too, while you were looking at how you like, why are you here? As that left-handed hitter, I'm like, why are you here? Like, why are you here? Right. So it's I'm glad they got rid of the shift too, Joe. Just a little bit too late, but you know what? Better late than never. Better late than never, but it's good. It's good.
It was getting away from what baseball is and was. Like, it was just what are we doing? Yeah. This is not baseball. This isn't baseball. This is a computer game. We're just going to stack guys, and you hear all the complaints. But why don't you hit the ball the other way? Well, pitchers are trained to make you do certain things with balls, and you still want to score runs. I don't want Ryan Howard trying to get a single to left field. I don't want that.
No.
There was no reason for that. And on top of that, the game has changed. You get paid on exit velo, hard hit balls. They want you to swing and miss just in case you get a chance to hit a ball out the ballpark. There are too many. I found out later in my career, too many ways to get a single.
Right. And I'm afraid I'm not going to go by Judge either. He's going to have to sit up on that.
So we're going to give you that bonus pick.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get that bonus pick for the championships.
Right.
We get the bonus pick for the championships.
You know the thing about Aaron Judge is, you see him, he's big. He hits home runs. But then you see everything else he does. He makes center field look easy.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he can use the whole field.
Absolutely. Joe, this has been absolutely amazing. Just being able to sit here. No, not yet.
No, we got some important things.
Yeah, we got some more stuff to talk about. But it's been absolutely amazing being able to sit here and just kind of chop it up with you. And the next thing I want to talk about is something that myself, Jimmy, our teammates were very, very big on, was the charitable side of things and foundation side of things. And you have the Safe at Home Foundation with your wife, Allie, I believe.
Right.
Correct. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What and the work that you guys do there?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I'm the youngest of 5 in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big gap between me and the next oldest. It was like almost 9 years.
Wow.
I'm the youngest of 5, and the other 4 had 2 years between them. And then there I am.
Oops.
And so my dad, my dad was abusive to my mom, both physically and verbally. And he was a New York City cop. My mom was born in Italy. He made her ashamed that she was born in Italy. He just, and she never complained about it. And I was a nervous kid because, he'd be violent with her. He wasn't a drinker. It was just that he was a bully. And I didn't share it with any of my friends. I kept it inside, and it scared me. And I was a nervous kid growing up. I had very low self-esteem, didn't think I was worth anything, played hooky from school a lot. And I played baseball. Baseball saved my life. And I don't know what I have done if I didn't have the ability to play baseball. So fast forward now, I'm going through my career. If I didn't perform and we lost a game, I felt that it was my fault. Even during my playing career, I probably didn't enjoy baseball as much as I should have, as far as playing the game. But my wife was pregnant with our daughter, Andrea. We were living in Cincinnati. This is right after I got fired by St. Louis as a manager. And Allie says to me, you want to go to this seminar with me? It was a 4-day seminar. It was a self-help type thing. And I didn't want to say no to anything she asked me because she was 8 months pregnant. I'm not about to go that direction. So we went over there, and it was, when you go in there, and I said, I'm not going to like this because you're going to make me talk, and I'm not really interested in doing that. But, if you're looking to quit smoking or quit drinking or whatever you felt that you needed a change in your life, this is what this was for. And the first thing they do is when you go in there, they put you in a group. And my wife and I weren't in the same group. They just split you up. And it was either day 2 or 3. And I'm sitting, someone's a speaker. And, I can't tell you what this guy said, but I wind up standing up. Now, mind you, I was just named manager of the Yankees. Okay. And I wind up standing up, and I'm crying my eyes out because he struck a nerve with me on, what my dad was doing in the house. Because I thought I was born as a nervous kid. I thought I was born with the low self-esteem, and I didn't realize that, what he was doing in the house was causing me to have those feelings. So once we, when I'd call my sister, did Dad do this, Dad do that? And she, would saying, and I found out he did more things like, my mom, after the 4 children were born, she had one more daughter, and she died shortly after birth. So my dad told my mom that he didn't want to have any more children. And then I came along. But while she was pregnant with me, when he found out she was pregnant, he threw her down the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it wasn't for going to the seminar, I never would have asked these questions of my siblings. So now we go to New York, and Allie and I have always had charities involving children. And she said, what charity should we get involved with? I said, how about domestic violence, which sort of caught her off guard because I didn't talk about it. She knew stuff went on, but she had to drag it out of me because I just never wanted to talk about it. And, once I went through that, it sounds weird, but here I am 56 years old. And this guy, all of a sudden struck a nerve with me, and I want to talk about it now. And so we decided to start a foundation and do it through education. So what we do is we put safe rooms in schools, named it after my mom, Margaret's Place, and have a master's level counselor, and kids dealing with abuse have, it's part of the curriculum. And we know it works. We've been doing it over 20 years. We've, we have programs in the New York area and the LA area, and one in Cincinnati, and we have 2, believe it or not, in Tahiti.
Wow.
Where someone come to see what we were doing and said, "Oh, we need that there." And we've had kids come through our program that wanted to join gangs, and all of a sudden they're looking at college brochures.
Amazing,
outstanding.
Because we just want to. It's such a dangerous world out there that if a kid goes out into the world and then not have a feeling about how good they are, or self-esteem, somebody's going to put their arm around them and say, "Come with me."
Right.
Them down the wrong path.
And it's as I say, it's been very satisfying to know what we do works, and that we try to raise money so we can reach more kids.
That's amazing.
Are there ways that people can try to help to contribute?
Sure. Just go to joetorre.org.
Okay.
Simple as that, and they'll see everything that we do, and that's we use the money. Obviously, everything goes toward what we do, and we've had a lot of support, and now we're doing stuff with Major League Baseball, where my daughter Andrea has tied in the minor leagues. So we had, like, this coming year, we're going to have like 40 something teams have one night where, I'll get an autograph ball and they'll auction it off. And the money wouldn't necessarily go to us, because if there's a charity in their town,
right,
that's where it would go to. But just to raise awareness, because it's a tough subject to talk about. And so, when you start thinking about it, everybody's touched by this at one time or another.
Well, thanks, Allie, for dragging Joe out to the seminar.
That's right.
All those years ago, and thank you for being brave enough to share the story, because it's not easy, and we've in many ways, shapes, and forms have been touched by it, as you said, and what you're doing is a blessing for these children to understand, which it took you to well into your adulthood that you weren't born that way. It was something you saw, you were surviving. And a lot of times that's what you're doing. I just need to survive the situation to make sure I make it out alive. So thank you for your story. And,
right. Not everybody's as lucky as I was. I had the ability to play baseball where I can go hide somewhere, so I felt very fortunate.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Joe, again, now I think we're about to kick you off, because we got you. We've had you. This has been such an absolute pleasure. Yeah. I know I can speak from my man, young James, over here as well. It's so much nicer in this environment. It's so much nicer in this environment.
If you guys were this nice, I wouldn't have been so upset when you beat us.
I'm
sure. But thank you so much for coming on the 611. I mean, this has been an absolute blast, an absolute pleasure being able to share your story. man, it's been amazing.
Amazing.
You guys are real, and I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you. Thank you.
All right. So that wraps up this episode of the 611. Jimmy Rollins, my co-host, Ryan Howard. We had the pleasure of speaking to Joe Torre. We have more stories like this. Stay tuned.